Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the Leadership Standard. My name is Buchi Law, and I'm going to be your host on today's episode. I want to thank you all for being here today with us. And I look forward to speaking with you on various topics and happenings going on in Nigeria. So please subscribe, follow the Leadership Standard, and stay in touch for more. Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the Leadership Standard. I hope you all can join me. I hope you all can hear me while we wait for more people to join. I know that some of you have been hearing about what's been going on in Nigeria as well as other places in the world. But today we're going to analyze some few important topics. So welcome to the Leadership Standard. Thank you all for being here today. We're excited to have you here. Life has been happening at a very fast pace. I believe it's been happening to you wherever you are. That's why we've been away and we've just been, analyzing what's been going on. We've been looking at everything going on and, trying to understand what role that, we fit in all of this. The good thing is to always understand your role. What role do you fit in ensuring that there is a sort of unity amongst people in the world today, And so I want to welcome you all. The Leadership Standard is still going strong. We're still looking for partners, people that we can work with, people that are vision oriented and want to, build a media marketing brand that helps promotes culture and promote society and unity amongst people. Now, having said that, I want you to understand that there's been a lot of issues going on around the world. A lot of folks have been losing their lives for various things that shouldn't even be happening. All right? Things that shouldn't be happening are happening right now. The world is in a chaotic mess. The world is in a chaotic mess. And Nigeria is running its elections right now. There's election season, election fever in Nigeria right now. And a lot of people are, sort of confused. And a lot of people are thrown away and thrown aback by what's going on in their own minds. They are saying things that are not being understood easily for a layman. And these are the reasons why we have to talk about these things, because there is a high rise of injustice in the land. There's a high rise of oppression in Nigeria right now. And most especially by those that have power, most especially by those that have influence and those that have wealth, rather than using it to benefit, humanity and benefit the people, they are using it to kill the people. That is sad, And this has resulted to many Nigerians are fear as many Nigerians take to suicide. There's been a rise of suicides in Nigeria right now. You see, and that is because of the fact that a lot of people are not a lot of people are, are frustrated with life. A lot of people are frustrated with life. So a lot of Nigerians are taking to committing suicide and taking their own life. because of the frustration, because of the level of frustration that Nigerians are facing. And that can tell you how bad things are going right now. So, having said that, I want everyone to take a reflection and look at where things are in your own personal life and ask yourself, is it normal that things are this bad? Especially when you look at how much wealth the world has. There's so much money in the world, and a lot of people are dying of hunger every day. A lot of people are, you know, committing suicide. A lot of people are feeling unsafe. There's this general, apathy of safeness and safety in the land. And that is because of what? Of the failure of leadership. There is a failure of leadership. There's a concern among Nigerians that the Lagos Lagoon has turned an attractive suicide spot for many who claim they are tired of living and decided to end it all. And this is from the Daily Post. Ishola Oludare was the one who wrote this. Nigerians have lost count of individuals who left their houses to end their lives in the Lagos Lagoon, while some unlucky ones jumped into the river and died. Others, because of the timely intervention of responders, were rescued. Also, there are some who were dissuaded from killing themselves while still on the bridge. Daily Post, however, reports that there could be individuals who might have plunged into the lagoon at a time nobody would see them. The Lagos Lagoon, which is more than 50 kilometers and 13 kilometers wide, is a beauty to behold, but people are still finding answers to why prospective suiciders have found it to be the most convenient place to put a stop to living. How could we describe the fact that somebody left Ota in Ogun State to go and commit suicide in the Lagos Lagoon? Does that mean there are no waters in the entire Ogun State? In October 2017, a 40-year-old man who was identified as Adekunle Oluseyi from Ondo State has jumped into the lagoon from the Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge. So, what is causing all these things? Why are people committing suicide? You know, there's Oluwatoye Bangboye, a resident of Ojuore in Ogun State, chose his birthday as a day to call it quits in life. However, he was about to follow the steps of other suiciders when officials of the Rapid Response Squad on patrol sighted him. Bangboy was said to have complained of burden and frustration, saying after selling his assets to settle a loan, he lost his job. Today being his birthday, he decides to end it all. The burden and the frustration are too much for me to bear. My wife has abandoned me in the process. Last month, a viral video of a man plunging into the lagoon surfaced online. The man had considered suicide because he was accused of stealing huge amounts of money, which he denied knowledge of. So, yeah, traditionalists are saying in the spiritual, you know, the question you should be asking is why are they worshiping that lagoon or not? Well, so pretty much some folks are saying that the water in the lagoon has been used to accept sacrifices in the olden days. Now they no longer get such attention. They may get angry. Those things of the past are still in existence. We have some spirits that operate only at night. I can confirm to you that there are mermaids in the rivers. Even the white men do appease the mermaids before constructing bridges. We Yorubas are deviating from our tradition. Is there no mermaid in Ocean River? In Igbo land, if you impregnate a woman without paying a bride price, you'll be in trouble. If she dies because you will wed the corpse, look at the Elijahs, they still dip their babies in the rivers to confirm that the babies are theirs. Those are traditions that are still in existence. But we Yorubas have forgotten our origin. So that's what they are saying. That it's, the water is calling out for those bodies to come to it. He advised that let us give what belongs to Caesar, you know. So from the Islamic perspective, it cannot be agreed that it is the mermaid in the lagoon or any spirit living there that is responsible for the way people jump in. Islam has made us realize there is no other God except Allah, and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. Without our faith, we must accept whatever comes our way as Muslims. You know, The cleric has maintained that people who pray regularly would not contemplate killing themselves. The reason people are killing themselves is because of frustration, betrayal, heartbreaks, and depression. If you have faith, even if you see another man sleeping with your wife, you won't misbehave. Look at that man who killed himself because he was accused of stealing. Is that enough reason to commit suicide? Lack of faith is why people make that ugly decision. God has told us as we humans go through some tough moments at times, but we must have faith in God. So suicide is not the way to go. Long story short, if you are feeling frustration, if you're feeling any heartbreak, don't commit suicide. All right. Rather than commit suicide, speak to somebody, you know, talk to somebody, share your mind, bear your thoughts with somebody, but do not go and commit suicide. However, the Nigerian government must provide provisions for people who are in that level of which they want to commit suicide. And it can also be a lack of frustration. All right. There's a level of frustration as which somebody will get to in life. The only option will be to kill himself. And that frustration, if you ask me, is also created by the government. The government also has a role to play in the reason why a lot of Nigerians are committing suicide. And that is exactly what the issue is. But having said that, we are going to move on. We are going to move on to our next story. This is another story that I believe is very important for everybody to be aware of what's going on. Because when you look at the Nigerian system, the Nigerian government, you can see that there is a lot of high level play out of corruption that is definitely affecting the growth of the nation. All right. So this is another story that was reported in People's Gazette by Tosin Ajunwo that the governor of Ogun State, Bidemi Rufai, was paying a fraudster $50,000 per transaction. That's what they said the U.S. court said. So Governor Dapo of Abiodun of Ogun was paying convicted fraudster Bidemi Rufai $50,000 per deal as a state appointee. $50,000 per deal. Prior to his arrest and conviction in the United States, Mr. Rufai was in August of 2012 or 2020 appointed senior special assistant on special duties by Governor Abiodun. In May 2021, Mr. Rufai was apprehended by U.S. security officials at the John F. Kennedy International Airport while returning to Nigeria. Court documents listed that on May 26, 2021, he was indicted on 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 9 counts of wire fraud, and 5 counts of aggravated identity theft. A Washington Post report states that Mr. Abiodun was paying Mr. Rufai $2,000 as his official salary, all right, as well as the 50,000 cut meant for introducing people to him. The US-based media outlet quoted Mr. Rufai's lawyers telling the federal court, both pays were much higher than the average Nigerian earnings in a government circle. Mr. Abiodun has gained a reputation in Ogun State as an astute transactional governor, while he is also profoundly referred to as Mr. 10% by those within his administration, a nickname he got as a result of his renowned fixed rate of charging an extra 10% on land sales from multinational companies hoping to establish factories in Ogun State. So, the Gazette has reported how Mr. Rufai appeared before a federal court a day after his arrest on charges alleging he used the identities of over 100 U.S. residents to fraudulently receive more than $350,000 in unemployment benefits from the Washington State Employment Security Department. during the COVID-19 pandemic last year. Mr. Rufai, a serial fraudster, was sentenced in September to 5 years imprisonment for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft by the U.S. District Court in Western Tacoma, Washington. All right, so you can see always a relation between a fraudster and a government official. There's always this relation. Even with Hush Puppy, the likes of Hush Puppy, you can see a relation between all these fraudsters and folks in government. Because the Nigerian government is run like a mafia. Everybody is involved in something with somebody, and it's just crazy the amount of filth that goes on in the government and the amount of you know bribery and corruption that goes on in that government. So it is sad, but that is just the way it is. And when when people are trying to change that, they become targets. you know. But people are forgetting that you cannot grow a nation where there is corruption in helms of affairs and people that are known fraudsters that are stealing from the US government. As far as going all the way to the US government to steal, it's not enough that they are stealing from the Nigerian people. They still have to go as far as going to the US government to steal. And not just that alone, there is also a transactional relationship between a governor and that personality. So it's all messy. But, we don't know what's going on yet. All we know is that this is in the news right now. There's a conspiracy. And me being a lawyer, these are conspiracies. And, of course, the governor has immunity. He's still governor. But that's just the way it is. And it is sad. This particular guy, Rufai, when he's done serving his term, he's gonna come back to Nigeria again. And I hope the people are saying these are not the kind of characters that we need to be in leadership. We don't need this kind of characters in leadership. We need people who have, a valued idea of what they really want to get out of the people and how to make it work for the people. And not just only about what they will gain, but more exactly about what they can bring to the table. Because that is very important. What can you bring to the table? What value can you bring to the table? So I wanted to also talk about another story. This is also a very important story, showing how bad it is. It's really bad. It's really bad. The current, the current, you know, political space in Nigeria, it's a very bad one. You see how this Nigerian student was brutalized right inside Aso Rock. He was denied medical care by policemen on orders of Aisha Buhari, Student Association, and NAS. When this guy made a tweet, the Nigerian Association of Nigerian Students raised the alarm that there's been a torture of Aminu Adamu Mohammed. This story went kind of viral. I know that he has been released. However, the action itself is what is not commendable. The action is not really commendable, especially coming from a first lady of a country. It has been reported that policemen acting on the orders of the ADC to Mrs. Aisha Buhari, Usman Shugaba, arrested a 23-year-old student for tweeting that the wife of the president was feeding fat on poor people's money. The tweet, which was posted in Hausa, the tweet, which was accompanied by a photograph of Mrs. Buhari, loosely translates as "Mama has eaten poor people's money and is now full." According to his friends, he made the post because he was frustrated about the prolonged strike by universities across the country. The strike started in February 2022 and ended in October after 8 months. However, on November 8th, 23-year-old Mohammed was picked up by security operatives on campus and was reportedly beaten up following his arrest around noon. He was beaten and then taken to the presidential villa in Abuja. The arrest and detention of the undergraduate is currently generating reactions and controversies in the media space. NANS, in a statement issued by its president, Umar Barambo, said despite sustaining injuries, Mohammed had no access to proper medical attention where he was being detained at the Wuse Zone 2 Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. He said Aminu Adamu Mohammed has sustained various injuries and has not accessed any proper medical attention. Hence, we call on the police as a matter of national interest and urgency to release him unconditionally. Well, the story has been out there for a while. I'm just reporting it now. But the whole idea is, this lady, first lady of Nigeria, she went in there and she was really, really beating this guy up. She was really beating the guy up because of his statements. And these are the kind of people that these are the kind of people that are in power right now. People who don't like to, they can't take any form of insult. Very soft people. Very proud people, very cocky people. It's not enough that they can't take any insult. They just can't take the insult from a poor person. This is just the way it is. Like they would rather beat up somebody's child for just making a comment rather than actually seeing what the issue might be, right? They don't see the problem. They don't see what the reason why the person said what he said. They don't see how to solve the reason why the person said what he said. All they care about is the person said what he said and they don't like it. And because of that, they would pick the person up, beat the person up, almost literally kill this person, just because of the point of freedom of speech. His constitutional rights being violated, freedom of speech. What kind of country is this? And these are the kind of things that we need to talk about. Like there should be calls for this, for justice in this, and not just about saying, "Oh, they released him and now he's fine." He even went and took a picture with the president, and maybe they might even give him a position and all this. Maybe that's his own sacrifice. The truth of the matter is this: at the end of the day, this is just how things are. Even Mazin Nnamdi Kanu was beaten up in Kenya, tortured for 8 days. Till now, they still have him in prison. You know, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is still in prison today because of just having his own opinion, and that's just the kind of problems that we are facing. A problem where people have dearth of ideas, and we see this not just only happening in Nigeria. This thing happens in anywhere where there is no democracy, where the democratic rule has been suspended, and now authoritarians and totalitarians have taken power. And that is not the way it should be. There shouldn't be a case of totalitarians have taken power. It should be a case of everybody has access to human rights, and everybody has access to justice and fairness. That is the reason why people are going to school. If you say you're going to school, then you should be going to school. As a lawyer, you should be going to school to fight for people's rights and human rights. That should be the main reason why you're going to school. So, Nigerian government has jailed Nnamdi Kanu, a mere agitator, while a confirmed terrorist walks free. A lawyer accuses Buhari's government of selective justice. A human rights lawyer and activist, Barrister Malcolm Omihiribo, has berated President Muhammad Buhari's administration over the detention of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. Omihiribo accused the government of engaging in selective justice, discrimination, suppression, repression, oppression, and subjugation by detaining Kanu, a Biafran nation agitator, while the same government has allowed a confirmed terrorist leader, Bello Tuji, to live and operate freely in the country. In a tweet with photos of Tuji and Kanu placed side by side, Omiribo said, while Bello Tuji, a confirmed terrorist, is walking free, Nnamdi Kanu, a mere agitator, is behind bars in chains. This is the height of selective justice, discrimination, suppression, repression, oppression, and subjugation. Kanu has been in the custody of the Department of State Services since June 2021 after he was rearrested in Kenya and returned to Nigeria for the continuation of his trial for treasonable felony and terrorism. Meanwhile, Turji, a terrorist leader who has been declared wanted by Nigerian security agencies, has been operating in Zamfara state and its adjoining states and even attending functions. Meanwhile, despite the ruling of a three-man panel of judges of the appeal court, which discharged the IPOB leader, Kanu, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, has insisted that Kanu would remain in detention. Can you see the problem with Nigerians? This is the problem with this Nigeria. And this is what the comment said in the Sahara Reporters. He said, it is a shame that the minority Fulani tribe is manipulating the shameless majority tribes and controlling all the strategic positions. Fulani that are not just up to the Lagos population. Shame on the southern Nigeria and the middle belt. So someone else said, so long as Igbos are excluded, the rest of southern Nigeria isn't bothered. That's how and why the Fulani seized Nigeria since 1970, and all the policies are designed to punish the Igbos. Buhari came in 2015 to institutionalize this policy of outright exclusion and annihilation. It seems a bit belated to begin to cry about what Buhari has been doing in the past 7.5 years unchallenged. That's why we regret the demise of someone like Gani. Wale Soyinka is aged and has lost his human rights verve to demand from the system a sense of equality, equity, and fairness. Let Southerners search their minds and hearts why they turn their attention away from Buhari's nepotism and bigotry. Why worry now that the terrorist has less than 6 months to go? We are our own enemies. The consequences of our actions, of our inaction today, are with us now and in the future. You see? The problem is that everyone knows the problem, but no one is actually talking about it. There is a sad reality that Nigeria is currently going through a metamorphosis that might ultimately require everybody to be under a very full oppressive regime. A regime where everybody is controlled by a few people's mindsets and what they consider to be right. And there'll be a deviation from rule of law, and it will be more of a control system where just a few people have power and they decide how they want to rule with the power until people ultimately say they've had enough is enough, and they can't take that anymore. Then obviously that will create more anarchy, and then ultimately the people get their power back. But the point is, at the end of the day, with all this what's going on, we can see that it's really end time right now, man. It's really end time. It's really end time right now, because the things that are coming out of Nigeria and the way people are moving, with the way the terrorists are moving freely sometimes, and they're just walking around doing what they want, and the military is being used to punish the poor people, the police is being used to punish the poor people, and the politicians are just having a field day, traveling around the world, lodging in hotels, dancing, eating, frying suya, and but the poor people are still poor. The poor people are still fighting themselves, killing themselves, trying to gather what they can eat. But at the end of the day, it's just sad because there's no progress. But that's what do I know? That's what I think the issue is. I kind of feel like we need to stand up and make a clear decision early on what we want as a people, because the way and manner at which we are going right now, it's not going to make any. There's going to be individual progress here and there, but collective progress is always better than individual progress. If any people can grow collectively as a nation, and everybody is pulling their weight collectively, and it's going to reduce a big man syndrome, a syndrome where someone thinks is the bigger man and always punishing the smaller man, because everybody has everything they need. Anyways, so follow me on social media so that we can continue this conversation.